Today we're in Italy for the start of the International Touring Car Championship for 1986. This is Monza, it's the home of Italian motor racing, and it's the first of 14 rounds that we shall be covering during the course of the season. Let's look at the cars. First Volvo, prepared by RAS this year and retaining only Thomas Lindstrom of the winning pair of drivers from 1985. Rover still have Tom Walkinshaw in the TWR prepared cars heading their three-car team. They've obviously got strength numerically. Here we see the Ford XR4 TI of Rudy Eggenberger's team turning a wheel for the first time. They've got Stephen Soper in the team from Rover last year. It should be a very strong combination, particularly when the Cosworth engine comes along. BMW will profit most from the new regulations. That doesn't come until April the 1st, but they've still got Dieter Quester and Roberto Ravaglia in the team and could be very much a force to be reckoned with this year. For Class B honours, they've got the new 325, and that's up against Danny Snowbeck's Mercedes, which ran in the French Championship last year and are in the European this. General Motors mean business. Peter Brock is over with the Commodore for a number of races. And also Allan Grice is there, fast in a straight line, a determined driver if an unsponsored car. Brock beat the Rovers on 2 occasions in New Zealand.
Volvo has some interesting pairings for the ETC for 1986. And Thomas Lindstrom, of course, the numero uno man of Volvo last year. And Johnny Cicotto, of course, needs no introduction to European touring car fans. And I would say quite a combination.
Yes, I think a very good combination.
I'm glad he's modest, Johnny. Do you think he's quite modest about the fact you do have a good combination as a driving pairing?
Well, I think it's very important. I mean, with the experience from Thomas from in Volvo and in the European circuits all around, and with myself, of course, I think we can do a good job this year.
Tom, you opened the European Touring Car Championship last year and the year before with a win at Monza, and you're going for a hat-trick. How difficult is it going to be, and how tough is the competition this year compared to previous years?
Well, I think that it's going to be very hard. I would reckon there'll be 5 or 6 cars will be in a bunch at the beginning of the race, just slipstreaming past each other because it's very high speed around here. So I think it's going to be very, very hard.
Dieter Quester, how good is BMW looking for season 86?
I think much better than last year, and the problem at the moment is that the Evolution engine we get for Donington, that's in about 2 weeks for the next ETC race.
A number of familiar marks start the ETC here at Monza, but a new face and a new sign. Ford is back into racing, and Steve Soper joins Rudy Eggenberger's team, an exciting team for 86, and you look quite happy about it too.
Yes, I'm very pleased to be here.
Tell me about the car, how long it's taken to put the cars together, and your hopes for the future with the Cosworth.
Well, obviously 87 is going to be the year, hopefully, that the car will be an out-and-out championship winner. But this year is really a test year, and for everybody to get used to it. It's obviously a new car to Rudy Eggenberger. It's a new car, a new team to me. And we're obviously Ford, it's fairly new to, the European circuit.
You know, a number of generals have marched throughout Europe over the years, and some have been successful. For 1986, the new general has arrived in Europe. It's called the Commodore. Not the Opel Commodore, but the Aussie V8 Commodore. And this is the car that Peter Brock and Alan Moffat will campaign in rounds of the European Touring Car Championship. We also have 2 Australian privateers, and Allan Grice and Graham Bailey, who'll be campaigning the V8 Aussie muscle power. The man, of course, who Australians look up to as the leading touring car driver, car builder and racer extraordinaire is Peter the Perfect Brock.
We're spending a bit of time learning what makes the car go fast at this particular circuit at Monza. For instance, we arrived here and the car was immediately quick, but in order to make it go quicker, we've actually been making a few wrong decisions. So now we've got a fair bit of work to do before the race.
We've simply got more power than Brock. I'm a second and a half quicker than him here so far, and I think I'll stretch that a bit further. We were 2 seconds quicker than him at Bathurst. My car goes quicker in a straight line, and you don't need a lot of driving skill to hold the accelerator down on the floor.
Jean-Louis Schlesser, 34 years old Frenchman, starts from pole position, but already Allan Grice is showing himself to be very much a man to be watched, being the fastest of the Commodores. And as the pace car pulls off, always used at the rolling start in all the international touring car races, into the lead it's Rover, Schlesser as expected. Behind him the first of the Volvos, the second Volvo up, and then Grice and two more Rovers. Ulf Granberg leading the Volvo challenge from Cecotto, and then of course Walkinshaw currently ahead of the third of the Rover team, and the first of the BMWs quite well up as well. Grice up to third place now and pressing hard. Brock too is going well, but still it's Schlesser in the lead with a small advantage now over the rest of the field. Two Toyotas spin out there, John Nielsen being one of them, a fancied runner who rolls out of the race. But Grice now past the second of the Volvos and hard on the tail of the Rover. One lap later and he's ahead. An Australian leads in Europe for the first time. Yokohama tyres are giving Grice an advantage over both Rover and Volvo. Rover on Dunlop, Volvo on Pirelli. But Cecotto now is determined to stay with the Australian. He's through up and past the Rover opposition. The Venezuelan, who survived a practice fire, determined to make his position firm as team leader. Grice over the curbs, and the Volvo follows suit. Now being impeded by a slower car, however, his lead has begun to shrink. The tyres are going off, and Cecotto comes through into the lead. It looks like a replay of last year. Once out in front, the ex-Grand Prix driver begins to go away. The second of the Eggenberger Fords making their debut gets himself onto the rough stuff here, overtaking a BMW, or rather being overtaken by one, but loses a wheel shortly afterwards and is out of the race. Grice now has fallen back into the Rover opposition. Schlesser is past him, and worrying on his tail is Tom Walkinshaw. Through on the inside of slower cars, Walkinshaw gets sideways there and alongside. Meanwhile, Thomas Lindstrom waits for the Volvo to come in Cecotto's hands. The pit stop, a bit of a panic, seems to be going well, until, unfortunately, the car cannot be restarted. The battery is flat and there's total confusion. Thomas presses the button, Johnny watches, and they try to start it from a slave battery. Something that causes consternation, they have to stop it again and put another battery aboard the car. But meanwhile, the Rover is in for a tyre change and Win Percy to take over.
Well, Tom, looking pretty good for a 1-2-3, a good way to start the season.
Well, I think it's far too early yet, so why don't you come back after the race?
But I'm the eternal optimist.
Yeah, I'm the racing driver.
Yeah, I know, there is a difference, isn't there?
Did he know something we didn't know? Schlesser was to retire and the Walkinshaw Percy car took over the lead. BMW up to third place, and in spite of a damaged spoiler, it was the hat trick for Tom Walkinshaw and Win Percy at the flag.